guys, and welcome back to Beauty Fortified. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sue, and today I'm comparing the Dior Face and Body to the MAC Studio Radiance foundation. Now, this is not a first impressions wear test. I have used both of these foundations and I've loved both of them as well. MAC recently tweaked the formula, and so I wanted to put these head to head to see how they compare now that the formula has changed slightly, and because they are two foundations that I did reach for quite frequently in the past, I was interested to do a comparison and just to see how they fare up against each other. So a little bit about the foundations. Now you can see that they've both got very similar packaging. The Dior one has got a beautiful kind of, I would describe it as a rubberized plastic tube, which is great for traveling. The MAC one has got the same packaging as the previous MAC Face and Body, so it's also in a plastic squeezy tube. Now both of these foundations come in 50ml. Usually a foundation comes in 30ml, so you are getting a little bit extra. The MAC range, they've just increased their shade range to 30 different shades, and Dior, they've increased it to 40, 19 of which are available in South Africa, and you can now buy Dior online in South Africa. I will put a link down below. Now, just a little bit about the foundations. I'm going to refer to my notes. Let's see what they say about the respective foundations. So MAC says this formula provides a sheer buildable veil of coverage with a natural radiant glow. It delivers refreshing instant hydration in an ultralight waterproof formula with all-day comfort and wear. It does not cause acne. Dior go on to say the waterproof formula of the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation creates an invisible mesh on the skin and resists extreme conditions, workout sessions, water, extreme temperatures, and humid environments. So interestingly, they both say that the foundations are waterproof. In terms of longevity, MAC do say that theirs wears for 8 hours. Dior are not very specific on that front. So a little bit about the ingredients. The Dior one does contain alcohol, and it is number 3 on the ingredient list. So it is quite high on the list. Just something to be aware of if you can't tolerate alcohol on the skin. Then on to skin types. MAC says that their foundation is for all skin types, including sensitive skin. Dior does not specify a skin type. Packaging, I've discussed the packaging, so both are very similar and you get 50ml quantity in each. In terms of application, both can be applied with your fingers or a brush, but I wouldn't recommend a sponge. I do find that a sponge tends to absorb quite a lot of the product. So a little bit about my skin type. I'm 50 years old. I do have normal combination skin, so I do need to blot throughout the day. I do have fine lines, wrinkles, and most importantly, I have quite a lot of texture, so I do have enlarged pores. So I look for a foundation that does have a considerable amount of wear, but something that's also not going to accentuate my pores and is going to make my skin look like skin, but better. So it's quite a big ask in terms of foundations. So I'm going to go on to the application. I'm going to do a side-by-side application, and then I'm going to wear both for a good 5 to 6 hours wear, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to let you know which one has performed better. Now, right off the bat, I can tell you that I did have a firm favorite, and that was even before MAC had tweaked their formula slightly. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the favorite still holds true or whether I've changed my mind about things. So now onto the application, and I'll see you in a bit. So I've prepped my skin. I've got on my SPF, and today I'm using my Nivea Shine Control SPF 50. I find that works really well under makeup. The two shades that I've got in the Dior, I'm 2.5N, and in the MAC, I'm N4. So I just want to compare the shades for you. The Dior is slightly darker than the MAC, but I find that the MAC does dry down a tad darker. So over here I've got the MAC, and on that side I've got the Dior. So you can see they are quite similar in color, except that the Dior is slightly darker. So I'm going to start on this side of my face, and I'm going to go in with the MAC. I'm going to give it a good shake. You do need to shake this product quite well. And then I'm going to just apply a little bit to the back of my hand. Just makes it a little bit easier to work with. And then I'm going to dot it all over this side of my face. And as I say, you can apply this with fingers, although it doesn't quite have the same touch now that they've tweaked the formula. It used to become tacky in your hands, and then it would form a little bit of a film on the skin. So it doesn't really do that so much anymore. And I'm going to be going in with a foundation brush. So I'm just going to buff that out all over the skin. And I can see it is giving me quite a radiant sheer finish. So it's giving me a nice even skin tone, but the cover is very sheer and it is quite dewy. So I'm going to leave that there for now. That's one layer. Looks really good on the skin. It's not covering a whole lot of stuff, but it does give a lovely skin-like finish. So that is the MAC. Then on the other side, I'm going in with the Dior. Going to give that one a little bit of a shake as well. I'm going to apply it the same way. I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand, and then I'm going to dot it all over the skin. So again, the consistencies of both are quite liquidy. So that's definitely a theme there. Taking a clean foundation brush on this side and just going to gently buff this in. Now I can already see that this is not giving me as radiant a glow, but in terms of the coverage, it's giving me a similar coverage. So it is giving me a very light coverage. It is quite skin-like, and it is blending in really well with the brush. So because these foundations are buildable, I thought I'm going to go in with a couple of layers on each side. So I'm going to take what's left on my hand and I'm going to apply the face and body, apply another layer to the skin, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side with the Dior. So I've applied 2 layers to each side of my face. Immediately I can see that the MAC is looking quite a bit more radiant, and it's quite a lot more sheer on this side. The Dior is giving me a kind of satiny finish. Both of them are going to dry down. I would say that the Dior is giving me more coverage, and it's definitely more of a satin finish off the bat. But as I say, they do both need to dry down. The MAC side looks gorgeous because it does give you that glow, but how well that's going to wear throughout the day, we've yet to see compared to the Dior. So what I'm going to do is powder down very lightly with a light powder. So I'm going in with my Rimmel Stay Matte, and I'm just going to put a little bit of powder on top just to tone down the glow a little bit. So definitely more glowy and more sheer on the MAC side. But once I've powdered it down, it really does give me a beautiful skin-like finish. The Dior is looking good. Again, a more satin to matte finish, I would say. And probably a little bit more coverage. And I definitely feel that my pores are looking a little bit better on the Dior side. So after I put on the powder. So I'm definitely preferring this side off the bat, but we'll see how they wear throughout the day. And I'm going to apply a little bit of blush. Now I'm going in with a cream blush, just because they are very light foundations. I thought that a cream would do the trick this time. I'm going in with my MAC Glow Play, and this is in the color Grand. I'm going to apply that with the little Eco Tools blush brush, and we're going to see how this holds out throughout the day as well on top of the foundation. You could apply this before you apply the powder. I don't want to upset or move the foundation around, so I'm going in after the powder, which also gives quite a lovely dewy effect with the cream blush. It doesn't compromise the integrity of the blush at all. And it's going down really well. Not noticing any movement of the foundation, with a little bit of powder on top. And it's definitely looking good. So I'm quite happy with the foundation on both sides. There are some slight differences, but I would say that at this stage the differences are quite minimal. So I think it's all going to be down to how they wear throughout the day. Hi guys, I'm back. I've now been wearing the foundation for 6.5 hours, so I thought it was a good time to check in. I haven't retouched it all, I haven't blotted. Just having a look at my skin, it is looking quite dewy overall. I probably would have blotted about 2 or 3 hours into the wear test, but I've left everything as is. And it is looking kind of equally dewy on each side. I have to say that on the MAC side, it looks like my blush is disappearing slightly, and my pores are looking a little bit bigger, so that could be due to the dewiness, the initial dewiness of the foundation, and then exacerbated by oils that have peeked through. So they are looking slightly more enlarged on this side. On the Dior side, I must say the blush has held up pretty well. You can see my pores now that the dewiness is coming through, the shininess, the oils are coming through. Doesn't look too bad at all, but I definitely feel like I need to blot at this stage of the game. So I've got a little bit of toilet paper. I'm just going to see in terms of blotting what the transfer is. So blotting the Dior side. No transfer to speak of really, just a little bit of blush on a few oils that have come off on that side. And then on the MAC side, much of a muchness, a little bit of transfer where I got my nose. I'd say, yeah, a little bit more transfer than on the Dior side. So let's just double check that. Just blot the forehead on that side. Tiny bit of transfer. Remember, I did use a powder over the foundation, so a little bit of transfer with the oils. And let's just do the forehead on the Dior side. Probably a very similar amount of transfer, so very much of a muchness. So what are my views? What is my overall impression? Well, I'm actually quite surprised. I initially thought that the Dior side would have a lot more holding power. it wouldn't turn as dewy as the MAC. So I'm actually quite surprised at that outcome. Having said that, I must say that the pores on this side are looking a lot better than the ones on the MAC side. My blush has held up, and I have been out in the sun as well. So in terms of heat resistance, I'd probably say the Dior is a better bet. So for my combination oily skin, I think I'm going to go with the Dior, also because it does have slightly more coverage. So it's still a very light coverage, but there is slightly more than the MAC is giving me. So yeah, if I had to choose, I think I would definitely choose the Dior. Now that's a surprise because I always loved my MAC. This I preferred above the Dior, but I think since they've tweaked the formula, I know that I think it's quite a minor tweak, but the magic of the original Face and Body was that it did form a kind of film on the skin, and I think that gave it slightly more longevity. So I think with that little tweak, it's now a second to my Dior. So that is quite interesting. But I have to say the Dior definitely improves the appearance of your pores, and it definitely looks like it hasn't faded quite as much as the MAC. So I have to go with the Dior on this one. Let me know if you've tried either of these foundations and which one you love the most, and let me know what your reasons are. I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao.